pirate. Barges are being stolen from the harbour and everyone suspects 10 cents. For once the Star Tugs and the Z Stacks agree to work together to catch the culprit. Meanwhile Grampus, the midget submarine, has been doing a bit of sleuthing on his own. It was the end of a long hard day in Big City Port, home of Captain Star's 7 tugboats. There was just one last job to be done. 10 cents, one of the Captain Star's 2 switches, was the first of the tugs to arrive back at the Star Pier, so Captain Star asked him to tow a barge across the harbour to Scuttlebutt Pete, the dredger. Normally 10 cents was an eager worker, but this job was to help out 2 of Captain Zero's tugs who were working with Scuttlebutt Pete. Captain Zero's 5 tugs, the Z Stacks, were rivals of the Star Tugs, and 10 cents was not pleased to have to help them. "About time," snapped Zug as 10 cents drew the barge alongside. "I was told you didn't need this equipment till the morning," said 10 cents. "Where'd you want it?" "Moored by the old quay," sneered Zug. "If you're not too worn out." He and Zip sniggered as 10 cents pulled the barge away. 10 cents towed the barge round to the old quay and docked it by the derelict piers. "All right, you old tub of guts," he muttered. "You can settle here for the night." As he unhitched his tow line, he thought he heard a noise nearby. It sounded like another tug, but when 10 cents looked around, the place seemed deserted. "I must be imagining things," he thought, moving away. A moment later, Sunshine, his best friend and the Star Tug's other switcher, appeared. "Hold up, 10 cents," he called. "You heading home?" "Sunshine," cried 10 cents. "So it was you?" "What was me?" asked Sunshine. "Oh, nothing," replied 10 cents. "Come on, I must be tired." Side by side, 10 cents and Sunshine steamed away from the old quay back to the Star Tug's pier. But behind them in the growing darkness, something was hiding. That night, everything was quiet on the waterfront. The Starfleet and the Z-Stacks were safely docked. Nothing was moving. Nothing except one shadowy vessel that slipped silently through the water. Unseen, unheard, the stranger moved along the piers. No one heard the sound of the ropes or the quiet purring of his engine as he untied 10 cents' barge and stole softly away into the mist. Early the next morning, Zip and Zug arrived for work and found the barge missing. "Hey, where is it?" cried Zug. "I told 10 cents to leave that barge here, Zip. I always said those Star Tugs couldn't be relied on." "10 cents won't catch it from Captain Star," smirked Zip. "He will when I tell the captain," said Zug gleefully. They ran into 10 cents just in front of the Star Pier. "Hey, you!" cried Zug. "Captain Star wants to see me," said 10 cents, trying to get past. "We want to see him too," said Zug. "You didn't deliver our barge." "Of course I did," said 10 cents indignantly. "Well, it's not where it should be," said Zip. "I left it by the old quay," said 10 cents. "You saw me." "So you take it that way," said Zug. "You've double-crossed us," said Zip. 10 cents moved forward angrily. "I have Nazi style. You take that back away. What's going on out there?" Captain Star's voice roared out. Zug cut in quickly. 10 cents didn't deliver our barge last night, and— "I did!" cried 10 cents. "You know I did!" "All right, that's enough," said Captain Star. "I've already had a complaint about this. I'll take care of it. On your way now," he ordered the Z-Stacks. Zip and Zug steamed away grinning, glad to see 10 cents in trouble for once. Captain Star spoke sternly to 10 cents and then ordered him to go and work with Scuttlebutt Pete for the rest of the day. 10 cents was furious, but he could do nothing. "I hear you lost a barge," said Scuttlebutt, the harbour gossip, as 10 cents pulled up beside him. 10 cents scowled at him. Grampus, the midget submarine, who had been listening, emerged from beneath the water. "It's a mystery," he said, looking wise. "Grampus," cried 10 cents, "what do you know about it?" "It's all over the harbour," replied Grampus. "Everybody knows." 10 cents frowned. Scuttlebutt Pete joined in. "The more I know about it, the quicker you'll be in the clear." "I am in the clear," snapped 10 cents. "Get that clear." Zack and Zebedee, two of the Z-Stacks, were passing by. "Temper, temper," called Zebedee. 10 Cents made a move towards them as they passed on their way, laughing. "Leave it, 10 Cents," advised Sunshine, coming up. "Captain Star's got another job for you, but I don't think you'll like it. It's more work with the Z-Stacks." "That's all I need," groaned 10 Cents as he steamed away. For the next few hours, 10 Cents put up with a stream of jeering from Zack and Zebedee as they taunted him about the missing barge. By sunset, he was very angry. Until the mystery was solved, he would be under suspicion. Captain Star was puzzled. 10 Cents was one of his most trusted tugs. It just wasn't like him to lose anything. That night, Grampus was restless. He decided to go for a look around the harbour. He was worried about 10 Cents and hoped he might be able to clear his name. As he crept across the harbour, he thought he heard something. He moved towards the sound, and suddenly a large tug appeared, steaming straight towards him. Just in time, Grampus dived beneath the water. The tug passed above him, missing him by a fraction. As Grampus resurfaced and looked back, he saw the tug disappearing into the mist. It was towing another of 10 Cents' barges. All night Grampus searched for the pirate, but the mist was too thick, and all night the thief was at work, stealing barges. The following morning, Captain Star and Captain Zero called together the Starfleet and the Z-Stacks. "Captain Zero and I have had a meeting," announced Captain Star. "Missing barges is serious. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Right, Captain Zero?" "We're going to scheme to catch this pirate," said Captain Zero. "We've decided to set a trap," added Captain Star. Captain Zero continued. "Certain barges will be used as bait. They'll be fitted with flares that will go off if the barge is touched. Never mind, stolen." "So, this is the plan," said Captain Star. "Tonight you'll all go out in pairs, in silence, ready for action." While the tugs were being told the plan, Grampus had gone out exploring again. He went back to where he lost the thief the night before to try and pick up the trail. "Goes far as here. What about this old warehouse? It's possible it hasn't been used for years," he muttered. As Grampus peered round the gloomy warehouse, he heard voices. "Alright, you've done well so far, Patchy, but we think you still owe us one," a villainous voice sneered. "You're going back on your word," another voice replied. "You said that was the last barge I had to take." "It's the thief," thought Grampus as he recognised the tug from the night before. "Sea Rogue, he's the pirate." Keeping just below the surface of the water, Grampus looked around the rest of the warehouse. He saw the missing barges, and he also saw an old, decrepit, sad-looking boat suspended up out of the water. The villainous voice was still speaking. "You'll get us one more barge tonight, or you know where the old boy will end up, on the seabed." "It's too risky," argued Sea Rogue. "One more tonight," roared the villain. "Deliver it by midnight or it's goodbye to him." He nodded towards the old boat. Then he and his accomplice disappeared into the darkness, leaving Sea Rogue and the old boat together. "Don't do it," said the old tug. "It's wrong. I can't leave you here with them," said Sea Rogue. "You know what they'll do to you. Tonight will be the end of it." Silently, Grampus slid out of the warehouse. "Dear, oh dear," he thought. "This is a sad state of affairs." That night, the plan to catch the pirates was put into action. Top Hat, the smartest of the Star Tugs, was getting himself organised. "Barge in place, flares at the golf. Now I thought we were going to be in pairs. Where's my other—" He saw Warrior steaming up. "Oh no, not Warrior. This is our post, Top Hat," grinned Warrior. "Of all the tugs, I get the clumsiest," muttered Top Hat to himself. "Be great if you and I catch him, eh, Top Hat?" said Warrior excitedly. Top Hat sighed and resigned himself to a long night as they settled down to wait. Over in the dock area, Sunshine was cheering up 10 Cents. "Hey, come on, 10 Cents," he said. "I know you didn't have anything to do with the missing barges. Zip and Zug are trying to make something of nothing, that's all." "Thanks, Sunshine," replied 10 Cents, "but it makes me angry not being able to prove it." "I'm sure Captain Star believes you," Sunshine assured him. "Don't pay any attention to those Z-Stacks, they're troublemakers. I don't care about 'em, said 10 Cents. It's the other stars. They can't be sure it's not me. As they settled into their positions, Grampus appeared. Grampus, hissed 10 Cents. Get out of it. You'll give us away. We're laying a trap for the thief, whispered Sunshine. That's why I've come to see you, explained Grampus. I know where the stolen barges are. I've seen them. Right, said 10 Cents. Let's get the pirate. He'll be sorry he crossed me, I can tell you. Wait a bit, 10 Cents, said Grampus. It's a bit complicated. He explained the situation to 10 Cents and Sunshine. Sea-Rogue has been forced to steal against his will. The real villains have got the old tug and they'll sink him if Sea-Rogue doesn't steal barges for them. We must get to the pirate Sea-Rogue before the others. There's no time to explain to them, said 10 Cents. You're right, agreed Grampus. Follow me. As they slipped away from their posts, Zip, who was keeping watch with Zug nearby, noticed them leave. He and Zug, sure that 10 Cents was up to something, set off after them into the mist. 10 Cents and Sunshine hid near the old warehouse. They saw the two villains go inside, then waited to spring their trap. As Sea-Rogue came steaming back to the warehouse, 10 Cents went into action. Hey, two Sea-Rogue, he ordered. You're cornered, you can't escape. Quickly, he and Sunshine explained to Sea-Rogue that they knew about the old tug. We must save him, said Sea-Rogue. He's my uncle. They're holding him prisoner and making me steal barges. Even if I get one more, they might still sink him. Help us to help you, said 10 Cents, and we'll sink them. The sound of an engine came across the water. Quick, whispered 10 Cents. We must hide. Sea-Rogue led them out of sight, just as two Z stacks appeared through the mist. It's Zip and Zug, hissed 10 Cents. They're going into the old warehouse. I've got an idea. Grampus, you go to the warehouse entrance. If the villains leave the shed, you save the old tug. Grampus submerged and moved away. Over by the warehouse, Zip and Zug were trying to pluck up courage to go inside. Just a quick look, said Zug. No, Zug, begged Zip. Let's go back, please. Come on, said Zug. Stay close. As they entered the murky darkness, Zip peered round. Hey, he cried, the stolen barges! Great, we're heroes! Suddenly the warehouse was lit up by two pairs of huge glowing green eyes. A voice roared out, Hey, what are you doing here? Help! Cried Zug, the pirates! Zip and Zug shot out of the warehouse as fast as lightning. Outside, 10 Cents, Sunshine and Sea-Rogue were hiding. Wait till I say, whispered 10 Cents. Seconds later, the villains came racing out after Zip and Zug. 3, 2, 1, charge! Yelled 10 Cents, and he and Sunshine and Sea-Rogue shot forward and trapped the villains between them. Moments later, Warrior and Top Hat arrived and helped take the villains away. Inside the warehouse, Grampus had freed the old tug and brought him over to Sea-Rogue. As dawn broke, the tugs gathered together. That's what I call a good night's work, said 10 Cents. Thanks a lot, 10 Cents, said Sea-Rogue. I won't forget this. It was the least we could do, said 10 Cents. You heading upriver? Yes, said Sea-Rogue. Pirates aren't very welcome here. Come on, Uncle. Let's get you home. As the two of them set off upriver, 10 Cents watched them. I'm really sad to see them go, he said. Grampus turned to 10 Cents. Well, I'm off. Thanks for your help, Grampus, said 10 Cents warmly. He caught sight of Zip and Zug and pulled out in front of them. I don't know what we'd have done without your help, he said sarcastically. Somebody had to chase those villains out, said Zug. Weren't you just a little bit scared? asked Sunshine. Nope, said Zug. Nothing scares us, does it, Zip? And he set off backwards. Forward, Zug, forward! cried Zip, as Zug shot back straight into one of the barges that the stars had fitted with a flare the night before. Whoosh! As the flare shot up with a loud explosion, Zip and Zug yelled out in fright and fled across the harbour, terrified. They move pretty fast when they're not scared, laughed Sunshine. 10 Cents? They sure do, grinned 10 Cents.